the story of WCCO-TV from its beginning to present on WCCO-TV On the Move, a salute to the past, at 6:30 here on Channel 4.
Here's how to put your walls to work with more storage space in just minutes. Menard's exclusive 6-foot pre-assembled storage frames. With 2 of these on sale at $3.99 each and some shelves, you've got more storage space. Or the pre-assembled freestanding storage unit frame, also just $3.99 each. Now that's a winner at Menard's kickoff sale.
McNugget Mania sweeps the nation. When McDonald's introduced Chicken McNuggets, they had no idea the nation would respond with a single word. Now McDonald's responds, introducing 2 new sizes, the Big McNugget 9 size and the even bigger 20 McNugget size. Now Chicken McNuggets come in 3 sizes.
We shall eat McNuggets on the beaches. We shall eat them in our homes. We shall eat them at McDonald's.
McNuggets, McDonald's and you.
WCCO Television, Minneapolis, St. Paul.
Order has been restored at Stillwater State Prison this afternoon. Last night, more than 200 inmates joined in a riot which prison officials say was triggered by racial violence. That story tops this Monday, September 12th edition of the 5 p.m. report. Also coming up, a report on the discovery of more bodies of people believed to have been passengers on board Korean Airlines Flight 7, the plane that was destroyed by Soviet missiles. We'll also tell you about the very latest contingent of U.S. Marines to arrive in Beirut. And also today, well, a bit of nostalgia.
That's exactly right, because this is our final 5 p.m. report to be broadcast from our newsroom on South 9th Street in downtown Minneapolis. Tomorrow we'll be coming to you from the new WCCO Communications Center on 11th and Nicollet Mall. To mark the occasion, Karen Boros will join us later with a behind-the-scenes look at life in our newsroom, the one we're in, and you may be surprised at what you see. But first, the news of the day. All is reported quiet at Stillwater State Prison today after 200 inmates were involved in a disturbance there last night, a disturbance prison officials are calling a riot. The problems apparently started because of racial tensions. Alan Cox was at Stillwater last night. Do we know anything more about it today, how it actually began, or if it can be pinpointed to one inmate?
Apparently, it can't be pinpointed to one inmate, at least at this point. The prison administrators say they have about 7 to 10 inmates who are being questioned further about the origins of the dispute. It seems to go back a few months. You know, it's been a fairly quiet time at Stillwater State Prison, but beginning in the last few months, there seemed to be an upswing, we're told, in racial tensions there. The prison population at Stillwater is about 63% white, 25% black. And we're told that in the last few weeks, especially after the stabbing of a black inmate on August 27th, that racial tensions were growing quite a bit. The problem last night broke out in Cell Hall B, which is the largest of the cell halls facility, 460 inmates
We can see from the tape that there were some injuries.
This is a guard who was taken out, originally believed to be suffering from smoke inhalation from the fires and the tear gas that were broken out in Cell Block B. He's now being observed for some irregularities in his electric current.
What about other inmates?
4 inmates were injured. 3 of them were treated and released. 1 of them is still being held, possible heart attack victim.
Is there a lockup today? I assume everybody is behind bars.
There is a lockup. Apparently, it will end probably sometime in the middle of the week for prisoners outside of Cell Hall B. It may last longer there as the authorities try to sort out the situation. The Cell Hall B was just locked up a few weeks ago, right after that August 27th stabbing.
What about damage to the facility? I heard that 10 cells were burned out.
17, they say now. They don't have an exact dollar estimate of that yet. That'll take 2 or 3 days.
Is this going to, is the result of this going to result in any policy changes at the prison?
They say there are no specific policy changes, although the way they handled this will be reviewed. The prison administrators say that everyone should consider themselves lucky that so few people were hurt, both on the part of the inmates and the part of guards.
More on this tonight at what time?
I'll have a report at 6 and Caroline Lowe at 10. We'll have a little bit on the background of Stillwater for the last few years.
Very good. Thank you. Don?
The Soviet Union says it has caught a U.S. diplomat in an act of spying. The Kremlin says Vice Consul Lon David Augustenberg and his wife, Denise, were caught carrying out an act of espionage near Leningrad yesterday. The 2 are being kicked out of that country. The State Department revealed today that 2 Soviets were expelled from the United States last month for spying, and officials say that could be the explanation for the Soviets' action today. Pilots from 9 European countries are taking action to protest the Soviets' downing of that Korean airliner. The pilots refused to fly to the Soviet Union for the next 60 days. More than 40 flights a week will be affected by that action. Searchers along the northern coast of Japan have made a more grim discovery. They have found a third body and part of a fourth believed to have been aboard that Korean plane. More pieces of debris also washed ashore today. Gordon Josseloff reports.
Passing day, the cold seas off northern Japan are giving up more of what's left of Korean Airlines Flight 007 and those who flew it. Police and volunteer searchers have now found 3 bodies, several severed human limbs, and about 500 pieces of debris and personal belongings. Among the items recovered, the ID card of a 25-year-old Canadian woman listed as a passenger. Japanese authorities say Korean Airlines will return objects that can be identified to bereaved families. Over the weekend, more of those families traveled by ferry to the waters near where the plane was shot down. Joseph and Sonia Munder, who lost their 2 teenage children on the flight, said the ferry trip brought some comfort.
I feel this is the last thing I can do for my children. But it's just, I still don't believe it. I still don't believe they are dead. I can't.
The President of our country and the Secretary of State had the right words from the barbarians.
Today, Japan once again called in the Soviet ambassador, demanding that Moscow produce evidence to back its claim the plane was on a spy flight engineered by the U.S. and Japan. As the search for victims and wreckage continued, Japan prepared to announce new sanctions against the Soviets, including a 2-week suspension of all commercial flights between Tokyo and Moscow. Gordon Josseloff, CBS News, Tokyo.
In another part of the world, 3 Marines have been wounded in Beirut. They were injured today when about a dozen mortar rounds slammed into the Marines' compound near the Beirut airport. The United States has beefed up its contingent of Marines in Beirut. 3 U.S. warships with 2,000 Marines aboard anchored off the Lebanese coast today. But officials say there are no plans at this point for the Marines to go ashore. Meanwhile, American warplanes continue to soar over the hills south of Beirut in a show of force. The display of air power is intended for the Druze militiamen who've been firing at the U.S. positions. One of the planes drew fire from the hills today, but that aircraft was not hit. In just a moment, we're going to tell you about a spraying program in Washington County aimed at marijuana crops. It's 6 minutes past the hour.
Every year about this time, something wonderful happens. Kids everywhere find themselves back at school. McDonald's would like to make the occasion even happier. With McDonaldland character pens. There are 5 McDonaldland characters, and you can collect a different one each week for only 59 cents with any purchase. Pen Friends, now at participating McDonald's. Even school has its bright side.
Well, maybe. Ethel's Medicare supplement gave her bad news. A big rate increase.
And what did senior care give you?
Good news. Senior care costs no more than last year.
Bad news about Medicare.
What about senior care?
Oh, that's good news.
Senior care coverage is still second to none.
Read about senior care and then call. Get some good news for a change.
Hello, I'm Catherine Crosby speaking for Coit. When entertaining, it's so important to have everything in your home looking its best. That's why I trust Coit to keep my drapes looking fresh and lovely as new. Coit cleans and rehangs your drapes with perfect pleats, even hems, and no shrinkage.
This month, save 20% during Coit's big sale.
Coit, a name you can trust, and as good as your phone book.
Officials in Washington County have started a spraying program. It is designed to destroy fields of marijuana in that county. Barb Brown has been covering that story today and is in our St. Paul newsroom to tell us more about it. Barb, I hope you do better than I'm doing right now. This is not aerial spraying, is it?
No, it's not. And the whole program is any way that officials can find to eliminate, to destroy marijuana that is growing in the county. They are using ground spraying. You can control the spray easier from the ground. They are at work right now today spraying 6 acres. They hope to complete that spraying today. We're talking about wild marijuana here. Of course, they want to eliminate whatever they can find. But they did find this patch, which is quite extensive. The street value, in fact, if this were harvested or in process, would be close to $1 million.
Huh. Barb, what's the chemical they're using?
They're using a herbicide which does contain 2,4-D, which has been controversial, but it is one that can be purchased at a hardware store by anyone for backyard use for killing weeds, and it's not as controversial as paraquat, which we've heard is used in other parts of the country. It's also less expensive, less dangerous, so this is the one that they're using and feel it will be effective but not as harmful.
Is the program new? Is this something they just started this spring?
They did start this year. It's going to be, it's just kind of a step up. Minnesota officials haven't always realized that that Minnesota grass, as it's called, Minnesota green, can be as potent as that which is grown in other parts of the country. So they're stepping up programs to try to find it, try to eliminate it, keep it off the street, make sure kids don't get into it.
What do they say about the impact this will have, if any, on actual drug trafficking in the state?
It's hard to tell how much impact it would have on trafficking, especially when we're talking about wild marijuana, which maybe would never have been harvested. But when you talk about $1 million worth being kept off the street, they say, hey, if even a few kids are kept out of drugs because this much is not on the street and available, it'll be worth it.
Barb, what's the next step?
The next step is they will continue to monitor, to try, search, look for it, try to eliminate it through the next couple weeks. But in the next couple weeks, it's beyond harvest time. So they plan to begin again next year.
Very good. Thank you very much. And just when you thought you'd heard the last of the spraying of malathion, there is more news. State health department officials were spraying the chemical to control encephalitis-carrying mosquitoes. But two car dealers in Mankato say the chemical spray damaged the finish on several new cars. Lance Butler of Clement Chevrolet says 16 or 17 of his new cars were damaged. The paint finish eroded a bit, he says. The damage has been reported to the state. No word yet on if the state will pick up the price for repairs. Don?
The search for jobs, Ann, brought hundreds of people to Minneapolis at the Armory this morning. About 500 jobs are being created by the opening of the new ANFAC Hotel in downtown Minneapolis. The hotel is hiring maids, waitresses, bartenders, and other workers for its scheduled opening on November 4th. The company expects up to 5,000 applications. The New York Stock Exchange spent the day kind of riding a roller coaster. The market soared earlier in the day, moving up almost 20 points in early trading. Later in the day, the market began to slip, and by closing, the Dow Jones Industrial Average was down more than 10 points, closing at 1,229.07. The forecast is up next on the Monday 5. Time right now is 11 minutes and 23 seconds past the hour.
Will Amy's bib ever be this clean again? Watch. I'll cover the original clean with this patch. Then let her go at it. What a mess. Oh, no. Those are tough stains. Now I'll use spray and wash. It's specially formulated to break up tough stains. The results? Look, my spray and wash brought Amy's bib back to the original clean.
Get your family's clothes back to the original clean. Get spray and wash.
Look how water can destroy unprotected wood, but not if it's protected with Thompson's Water Seal. Use Thompson's Water Seal waterproofer on dozens of surfaces. Brush on Thompson's for an invisible barrier that helps prevent water from entering and damaging brick, wood, and concrete. Your house isn't really protected until it's protected with Thompson's Water Seal.
Now, at all Target stores.
Here's a treat.
Then they put the sign up. It was, put your toys away, Jeffy. People are coming to see the house. Clean your room, Jeffy. We want the house to look nice, don't we?
We've helped almost 1 million people buy and sell homes. We're Realty World. The results, people.
I'm glad we sold it fast. Dad can only take so much pressure.
When you're ready to list or buy a home, call the Realty World office nearest you.
Okay, hit it, Becky. We're all ears.
Uh-oh.
Aren't you going to play our song for us?
I kind of forgot it.
How about having a bowl of Rice Krispies and we'll give you a hand?
How about a foot?
It's fun to put Snap, Crackle, Pop into your morning.
Now I remember.
Kellogg's Rice Krispies cereal, part of this complete breakfast.
Into your morning.
Guess I got too keyed up.
September, Minnesotans assume an interesting attitude. And whenever you see the attitude assumed, then you know it's September. It is this position right here. Can you see that? This hand is on the electric blanket control, and this hand is on the air conditioner.
Yes,
Because you don't know which one you're going to be turning on from day to day.
That's true, and we've sure gone the gambit so far this month, haven't we? Started out with temperatures up in the 80s and the 90s and dropped into the coldest temperatures so far this season over us. In fact, we have some morning low temperatures we'd like to show you from all across the country. The coldest temperatures were settled in right over Minnesota, with temperatures in the 30s to the north, little area of 40s up to the north of us, and a little area of 50s that we were included. In fact, our temperature Saturday night dropped down to 48 degrees, barely into the 50s last night. We're going to be down into the 40s again tonight, so you're going to need not the air conditioner control, but the electric blanket control. It looks like it's going to stay that way. Well, why the big change? Well, the upper winds certainly have shifted. They've been coming out of the south-southwest, but look what's happened. We've had a little area of low pressure, a little trough, moved right over the upper Midwest and bringing much, much cooler air in over all of the Dakotas and Minnesota, and it's going to stay with us for a little while. As that cold air was ushered in with a trough and some frontal systems and low pressure areas that moved through on the weekend, we had a number of showers and some thunderstorm activity, but overnight last night again, more of a gentle rain, although we did have some reports of possibly some lightning strikes. But 32/100ths of an inch of rain fell here in the Twin Cities, or at least at the airport, with generally about 1/4 of an inch falling over much of east central Minnesota overnight last night. So some nice gentle fall rain beginning to occur. Have we had much change in the temperatures? Not a great deal. They're still only in the 60s or over the southern part of the state, with some 40s up to the northwest of us and 50s. And those 40 and 50 degree readings are going to be sliding off tonight and moving in over us. What's happening for the next 24 hours is the low pressure system that moved through us and brought us the much drier and cooler air is going to be on the east coast, bringing them showers and thunderstorms. Little area of precipitation making its way back around the backside of that high pressure system up into the eastern part of Nebraska and the Dakotas. But all that's going to do for us is just bring us some general cloud cover, and that will also keep our temperature down. So tomorrow we're not forecasting much warming, that's for sure. Our current conditions right now, we're at 63 degrees, 50% humidity, winds out of the north at 13, and the barometer reading is 3021, and it's holding steady. Our forecast calls for a low temperature tonight of around 45 degrees, will be mostly cloudy and cool. Tomorrow, just turning partly sunny, still going to stay cool. Little change, 63 degrees for a high temperature. Feels like fall, football weather.
Yes.
Apple cider.
Oh, I'm feeling like the smell of burning leaves in the air.
Yeah.
Put me back right now.
Uh-huh.
I just wanted to say, I wanted to tell the folks here that moving into the new building and the new 5 o'clock show, which will start tomorrow at 5, and hope you're there for it, is going to bring a lot of good and wonderful changes, and we can't wait to get to it. But one of the sad changes is that you're not going to be with us on the 5. We're going to have the opportunity and the fun of Bud Trailing being with us.
Right.
And you're moving to the 6 o'clock and 10 o'clock shows, where 10 where you've always been. But I'm going to miss you. I've had a lot of fun this past year with you.
The 5 o'clock show is a fun show to do, and I have to attribute 90% of it to you and to Ann, and the rest of it to me.
Let me say, how'd that up now? That's 190% worth of stuff.
Okay.
No, it's just been fun, Mike, and we'll work together on some other shows.
That's for sure, Don. Thank you.
Good, man. 27 years ago, a fellow named Mel Sater was working as a chemist for the 3M company. One day, Mel got a special order. Somebody said, hey, invent a tape that can record and replay, that is, playback TV signals. Well, not only did Mel and his crew invent videotape, they did it in less than 24 hours in time to be demonstrated at a convention in Chicago. Well, Mel's retired now, but his invention remains indispensable to television as we know it today. And today, Mel Sater, our hometown guy, was honored with an Emmy Award for Outstanding Achievement in Television Engineering. Better late than never. Congratulations, Mel. Here's another local story about advances in technology. Several hundred people are meeting in Minneapolis to learn about new ways for disabled people to use computers.
Computers have been marvelous tools for physically disabled people, especially people who have difficulty communicating. But there are still some major problems that have to be overcome. Our health and science reporter, psychologist Dr. Larry Kuttner, was at part of the conference today, or at the conference today. How are they using computers?
What they're trying to do is use the computer to compensate for whatever disability they have. It could be a disability in speech or hearing or vision, or in what they can move, what parts of the body they can move, using them for tasks that a lot of other people use them for, word processing. but it may allow them to hold down a job, which is something they might not be able to do, or hold down a really productive job.
Do little kids use them?
Well, that's one of the really exciting things that's happening. They're starting to become integrated into the classroom and used at home. There's been a move towards mainstreaming children with disabilities. That is, not keeping them in separate classes, but putting them in the normal public school.
Now, what is this?
This is just something that that particular device allows someone who is blind to use a computer. It prints out in Braille as well as in normal devices. Other devices there would recognize your speech. So instead of you using a keyboard, if you can't use a keyboard, you would speak to the computer.
That is
And
fascinating.
sometimes it would speak back. You could sort of hear it mumbling in the background there.
What are the problems they talk about?
Well, there are still some problems with access. That is, getting a tool that people who have profound disabilities, someone who's quadriplegic, they can't move anything from the neck down, someone who is very spastic in the way they move, allowing them to use a computer is very challenging.
And they're developing them, I
They're
think.
developing some of them. That's some of the displays that you saw there were those devices.
What about availability and prices of all those little gizmos that we saw in the computers and the machinery? Are they accessible to people?
Well, again, that's been something that's changed recently. Prices, as you know, from computers have gone down. You can buy a computer for under $1,000 easily, for under $100 for many models. The thing is that are the accessories to these computers accessible? And that's the challenge now, to bring those prices down.
Fascinating. More on this what time?
6 o'clock tonight.
Thank you very much. There's some bad news for our farm economy this afternoon. Details just ahead on the Monday 5.
When your dental work is covered by Delta Dental, you go to your own dentist. Delta Dental is the only group dental plan in Minnesota that has the participation of over 2,200 Minnesota dentists, 96% of all the dentists in the state. Delta's goal? Long-term dental health for more Minnesota people. Anything less is no bargain. It pays to keep your teeth in good biting condition.
For 5 generations, Jones has been the first family of pork sausage. Now they've done it again with new Jones Country Pork Sausage. It's pink, lean, and loaded with taste that's fresh from the farm. Old-fashioned taste, no fillers, no fooling. Choice cuts of tender, juicy pork with all the hams and loins included. Taste what the Jones family has done for your family. New Country Pork Sausage. Taste that's fresh from the farm.
Mom. I can't believe it.
Martha?
People across the country are hearing from people they haven't heard from in years.
I heard you die.
For the first time, MCI is offering low long-distance rates to everyone.
You have how many kids?
Until now, you had to make a lot of calls to get MCI savings. But now everyone almost everywhere can save up to 50%, whether you call a lot or just a little.
I can't believe you still remember me.
Well, everybody kind of knew that this summer's drought and heat would take its toll on the nation's crops, especially in the Midwest. But today we got the exact word, confirmed our fears on how bad the loss will be. The government says this year's corn crop alone is down 48% from last year's record, half of the production. If the prediction holds true, this year's corn crop will be the smallest since the year of 1970. Lisa Schrofer is live in our St. Paul newsroom to tell us about a farm program at the University of Minnesota. Lisa?
Well, Don, analysts at the University of Minnesota came out with a report designed in part to give farmers a look ahead at their prospects for next year. It's something that the University of Minnesota has been doing with the universities of South Dakota and North Dakota for the past 4 years. The prospects for farm income next year aren't too surprising. Many grain farmers should be in fairly good shape because prices have been high this year, in part because of the drought. And livestock farmers probably won't be doing well until the middle of next year, partly because grain prices have been high. The report also delves into the complexities of U.S. exports. The analysts favor lower commodity loan rates so that farmers could gain a larger share of the world market. Analysts are also recommending that farmers take a closer look at an option they have other than trying to sell when the market peaks. They say contracting to elevators and meatpacking plants can be a good alternative. The researchers presented their analysis today at the U St. Paul campus. There weren't many farmers in the audience, but there were farm credit bankers, ag agents, and grain exchange workers. Meetings will be held with farmers across the state in the next couple of weeks, Don.
In the final analysis, though, were they saying you may look forward, farmers here in the Midwest, upper Midwest, you may look forward to a good coming year. Did they have that in their program?
It's so hard to say because depending on what you were in, it depends on the individual. Also, it depends on, the year you had in the past. So it's hard to say, but breaking it down, it looks good overall for grain this coming year in the beginning and good coming up for the livestock producers.
All right, Lisa, thank you very much. As we mentioned at the beginning of this broadcast, this is the last day the WCCO-TV news programs will be done from this building, if you will. Tomorrow, the entire news staff of WCCO-TV will be working in our new communications center, as it's called, a nice name. That's down on 11th and Nicollet Mall.
Our news programs will have a new look because of the brand new sets at the new building. It's an understatement to say we're excited about this new facility because although you at home can't really tell, we are literally under 9th Street in this building, and we've been producing the news under terribly cramped and crowded circumstances for years. Karen Boros has been here for 9 years, and just in those 9 years, what did this room itself look like when you got here 9 years ago?
When I got here, people actually had desks and typewriters in this area. It was a profound idea to have it. Yes, it was a newsroom, and then the art department came in a few years ago and dismantled the newsroom and made it look like their concept of what a newsroom is. But this place is crowded. People here actually, you have desk buddies. We share desks. This is Tom Ziegler, one of the assignment people, trying to find someone out there. People have been on top of each other. One time a fire inspector came down here to do an interview with one of the reporters and took one look around and started writing citations because there weren't exit signs and that sort of thing that had just been overlooked in the confusion.
Like little tiny cubby holes. What are you going to miss about the building?
What am I going to miss? The fact that for Dave Nimrich to leave his desk, I have to stand up. I miss that a lot because there's no way for him to get out without going over here.
What about Don Shelby in the bathroom? In the women's bathroom?
In the women's bathroom.
You don't want to ruin his reputation. You better explain that.
Well, men in the television business wear makeup, and the place you put makeup on is in the ladies' room. And so for the last couple of years, every time walk into the ladies' room,
and there's Don Shelby.
There's Don Shelby or Tony Parker or Mike Fairborn, and they're all in there. Just sort of like, I guess that's what we call the staff lounge.
And we'll find out in the new building if makeup was really the reason.
If makeup was really the reason, if they hang out in the ladies' room in the new building.
The idiosyncrasies of this building amaze me.
Yes, we're in the basement. This show is being broadcast 6 floors up. And there is only one elevator, and the elevator is world's slowest. Glaciers move faster than this elevator. I clocked it today, 42 seconds from the 1st floor to the 5th floor. And that was with just incredible rumbling sounds when you hit the top.
Never quite sure if you're going to get there. You're going to have a special report on this tonight.
At 10.
Thank you very much. We'll wrap up this edition of the 5 p.m. report in just a moment, 27 minutes past the hour.
In the glamorous world of fashion, every detail has to be just right. Versailles Eyewear is a fashion accessory designed to fit the changing moods of your lifestyle. Whether the look is professional, casual, or sophisticated evening wear, Versailles is a beautifully affordable way to make your total look come to life. Come alive with Versailles, America's most fashionable eyewear. See a leading partner professional soon. We'll try them on.
Pour on the power, go for the glory. This is the story of what you're made of. Beef gives strength, it helps you do it. Beef gives strength, it helps you do it.
Beef in a balanced diet. It's one of the best sources of protein, iron, and B vitamins going for a whole new pride in strength.
Beef gives strength, I'll keep you going. Beef gives strength from inside. Beef puts pride in the body. Beef gives strength.
Attention import buyers, Hopkins Dodge has your car. Look at this fine array of imports. Take delivery today of this 1980 Ford Fiesta for only $99 down and $129 a month. Or how about this ever popular 81 Colt? Again, $99 down and only $139 a month. And it can't be, what's this? A 78 Honda for $69 down, $99 a month. Folks, pick up your phone and call the import hotline at 935-3371.
Dave Moore is here to tell us about some of the stories coming up on the 6 p.m. report.
Well, at that time, Alan Cox will have more details on the disturbance last night at Stillwater State Prison. Barb Brown will report on the marijuana spraying program, which is underway in Washington County. She'll have a full report on the chemical they're using in that project. Also at 6, details on an overturned truck which blocked traffic on I-94 near Hudson, Wisconsin early this morning. The truck was carrying hay. And also details on a fire which damaged the Metalmatic plant in Minneapolis. There were no serious injuries in that incident.
Very good. One of the big stories coming up on the CBS Evening News. 3 U.S. Marines were injured again today in Lebanon. Heavy fighting there again today, Don.
Fortunately, the injuries were not very serious, but one of the serious things that can be considered are the 3 United States warships that are now parked off the coast, if you will, of Lebanon, sending warplanes in over the Shuf Mountains where the Druze militiamen are held up.
They've got 2,000 American servicemen on board, but apparently officials say they won't be used. They're just to back up the peacekeepers.
In the meantime, the UN Security Council is working on a ceasefire and trying to deal with Lebanon's request that all of this end and quick. CBS News coming up now.
Good evening. This is the CBS Evening News. Dan Rather reporting. The number of Americans